Hi. It was kind of hard to put 68 years into 8 minutes. But anyway, we'll try. As far back as I can remember, the earliest recollection of a diet was at age 11. And I was all of about 99 pounds. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't see that. And that was the beginning of the dieting. And as the years went on, the diets just changed, different ones. And my friends would be out looking for boys, and I'd be somewhere looking for fudge. So my whole teenage years, well, anyway, I got married, had children, I worked, and I dealt with 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever. But then I started the Weight Watchers, the Tops, the Cambridge diet, the diet pills, you just name it. I mean, if it was on the front of a magazine, I tried it. But I was always, like somebody else said over here, and I don't remember who, I was either dieting or restricting. There was never a happy medium. And when I did lose the weight, I was there for about 5 minutes. And then it, progressed back again. This disease was just at the binging stage. It hadn't progressed past that yet. And at age 35, I had a tragedy happen in my family. And this control freak couldn't change it. And I couldn't eat anything for about 3 weeks. And then when I started, I couldn't stop. And I ate, and I ate, and I ate. And I'm sure part of it was so I didn't have to think about it. But what I didn't tell you in the beginning is I was raised by a mother that was always on a diet and was very open about, well, I just go throw it up. That's how I keep my weight down. Well, I grew up with that. So when my stomach hurt as bad as it did, I could hear my mother, well, go throw it up. You'll feel better. So I did. And that was the beginning and the end of that. And it progressed. It got so bad that, I knew the restaurants that had single bathrooms because I knew whether I paid $10 or $100 for that meal, I was going to throw it up before I left. I wrecked a car one time going out into the ice and snow because I drank bottles of pancake syrup, open cans of icing, but I could go on and on and on like that. I want to talk about some of the consequences of this besides my health. I destroyed a 25-year marriage. I estranged my kids from me. I had hardly any friends left. And I had to have been a witch to work with. But I didn't know. I felt crazy. I just didn't know where I was going to go. And finally, I read an article one time which kind of validated it. It gave this thing a name. It called it bulimia. And I thought, oh, my God. So anyway, I didn't do anything about it until a year later. And I started thinking about suicide. So I called the newspaper, and I got the doctor's name and proceeded to see him for 2 years as I got worse and worse and worse and worse. I did set the suicide up. I couldn't go on with this anymore. But the bottom line is when I went to take that handful full of pills, I also wanted to live. I threw them down the toilet, and I sat there, and I just cried. And I checked myself into my first of 3 treatment centers. This one was for 2 months in 1989. At the time, they had a weighed and measured sugar, wheat, and flour plan. But if it was 5th or below in the ingredients, I could have it. Well, what I also didn't tell you is I'm a recovering alcoholic. So if I were to go, alcohol is 5th or below in that, you know where I'd be with that. So it didn't take me long before I was back into binging. And then shortly after that, the purging came back. I went into another treatment center in 91, and that was just a relapse thing. But in 2002, the thoughts of suicide were there again. And it scared the crap out of me. So my husband came in, he had been out playing golf, and I looked at him and I said, I need to go away, I need help. And I thought he didn't know, but he did. You know, people weren't blind. And I found a place in Naples. I needed somebody to stop my behavior. So I was there for 6 weeks, and their food plan was anything but clean. But I want to back the story up. All 3 treatment centers basically spent the whole time talking about my past, which I couldn't do a thing about. They spent very little time on how to stay in recovery. So I got out of this one, and I was absolutely petrified because I had no support whatsoever other than my husband, and that was not fair for him to be my only support. There were no local meetings. There were nothing. Well, I had a really good friend at church that said, I have a book I want you to read. And I knew she was on a food plan. Well, she gave me Kay Shepherd's book. And I sat there, and I cried my eyes out. Every page I turned, it was like, oh my God, that's me. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm sick. You know, I have a disease. And that was the first time I really looked at it that way. But I also found some hope for the first time in my life that there might be a solution to this. And Kay's quite a lady. I emailed her, and she emailed me back and gave me her phone number and said, call. And she explained why I should not be eating all this stuff and to follow the food plan and so on and so on and so on. And as of today, well, August will be 7 years, but as of today, I have 2,449 days. But anyway, that's one of the life in recovery has been great. I've been set free. I'm still a food addict. That's never going to change. I can't take the first bite. I know that. But I've traveled all over Europe. It can be done. I have freedom. If I had gone to Europe when I was back in my disease, when I came back, I wouldn't have been able to tell you what a castle looked like or what a lock looked like or what anything looked like. I would have been able to tell you what all their foods were. And this, I came back, and I'm just set free. I'm not ashamed of it anymore. That was my biggest thing, was the shame of, people just don't eat and throw up. You don't tell anybody that. Well, I'm not ashamed of that anymore because it wasn't something I chose to do. And I always tell everybody, I'm not my disease. I'm Jeanie Smith. Jeannie the Smith just happens to have the disease. So the life in recovery gave me a new husband who is just absolutely a gem. Gave me my kids back beyond my wildest dreams. I can travel. I've got a network of friends that are unbelievable. I've worn the same size clothes for almost 7 years now, and I'm free from the prison. Now it's up to me and all of the support system and everything that's out there to help me to reach out and grab it and to keep it. And if I do that, then I've got a chance that tomorrow I'll still be in recovery, and the day after that I'll be in recovery. And I want to finish this with thanking God, but I want to personally thank Kay for saving my life. Thank you.